Empires can fall in many different ways. There is never just a reason for an empire to end. There are usually two reasons, which can be called internal war and external threat. One thing that leads to internal war is when the political system splits up. There are many ways during which that can occur, but they usually follow a similar premise. When an empire gets too large, usually the leader will choose to split up the governing to help ease the pressure of ruling. They try to keep the power of the different states down, but this is usually hard, and different states can gain independent power. This can lead to political disputes and civil wars. Another way power disputes can occur is when the empire does not have one heir. Due to this, military loyalty can change. The military can either pick a side of the civil war or cause one. Economic failure is another cause of empires falling. Inflation is when an amount of money loses value, meaning the cost of things will go up. Inflation itself is okay, but superinflation and inflation when wages don't go up are bad. Wars are another economic problem. They can cause a breakdown of trade, which is bad. People don't travel over roads with wars going on around them, so the economy loses money. Also, when agriculture is ruined through bad crop season or war, the same thing happens. Fewer taxes can mean less money for the military, which means their loyalty can change. Natural disasters cause problems to the economy and then the political infrastructure. The workforce can die with one catastrophe and cause a smaller tax revenue. The tax revenue can also change because travel can be disrupted. Agriculture can also change. For example, when there is a drought, the crops or animals can die, and then many other things can happen. Okay. Those issues are all causes and results in others. The second reason for empires to fall is external threats. Those threats are basically wars with other empires or tribes. We're going to be exploring two things. First, the factors that led to the decline of Rome, and also, did Rome even fall in the first place?
The official fall of the Western Roman Empire was 476. Rome as the entirety did not collapse. Western Rome fell, but the Eastern Empire kept on going until around the 1400s. What happened was barbarian tribesmen were used in both the army and as farmers. With lacking working conditions and not so great pay, the barbarians rose up against the Romans and revolted, not necessarily invaded. As the barbarians rampaged across the countryside, they eventually went and took over their own separate chunks out of the Roman nation. Barbarian chieftains would go to Roman governors and provinces, kick out the Roman governors, and make themselves the lords or nobles of that particular province. So Rome officially turned into something that later would be called a feudal system, where the emperor was still the king because the barbarian chieftains were more or less loyal to him. This is Romulus Augustulus. In 476 AD, he was overthrown by Odoacer, who was a barbarian chieftain, and he was never replaced. That is the official marker of the Roman fall. So Rome essentially became a feudal system or what was left of the Roman Empire, which were these barbarian tribes, just became a feudal system with their chieftains as kings, and the lower you go, the lower it is. One theory states that Rome fell because of a collapse of trade and also depopulation. But what they don't understand is that Rome's culture lived on. The peasant life never really changed, and if you look at this family tree here, Latin influenced just about most of the languages spoken in the southern part of Europe today. Another theory that is called transformation said that Rome didn't necessarily fall. It more or less transformed. This is the theory that our group believes in, and it is relatively true because Romans' system of governing at the latter point of its fall was a feudal system, and that's what everything became. The culture lives on today through Christianity. Christianity takes a lot of tenets from Roman times. It was started then, and the Pope is a very big political figure, just like a Roman emperor might have been. What the collapse theorists don't really take into account is that Eastern Rome was identified as Roman. Rome split in the 300s, making it Eastern and Western Rome to just make it easier to govern. And Eastern Rome never really fell to the barbarians. What most people think of when they think of Eastern Rome is the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine Empire actually flourished in the 600s and 700s of AD and didn't fall until the 15th century.
Now we're going to further explore the reasons why the West collapsed, starting with internal decay. Most of the internal decay can be seen as a never-ending cycle. First, the end of Roman expansion led to economic decay because no new revenue was coming in to support Rome's large population. Emperors decided to debase coinage or produce more coins with less value. Say you're someone who weaves and sells baskets for a living. Before the value of money changed, you sold each basket for $5. However, with the new value, you're going to be forced to raise your basket prices because $5 isn't worth what $5 used to be worth. So now you raise your prices to $10. This consumer, a soldier, used to get paid $20 per month. Now he still gets paid the same amount at $20 per month. The problem with this is that his wages can't keep up with the increased prices, so he's not going to be able to buy 4 baskets. Instead, he can only buy 2. Soldiers are one example of a group that starts demanding a wage increase. However, the empire needs more money to do this, so they raise taxes and start debasing coinage again. Military chaos is in a way related to economic chaos. Because the military doesn't receive an adequate salary, soldiers start declaring their own generals as emperors. This leads to a power struggle. The borders are left unguarded, which triggers invasions, revolts, and war. In addition, since armies are filled with Germanic tribesmen, they are unreliable.
The cities also started becoming depopulated as disease, war, and general unhappiness caused the people to move. The smaller population hurts the amount of taxes the government can collect, which causes economic chaos. Less people means a smaller army, and it constantly has to be filled with untrustworthy Germanic tribesmen. Fewer people also leads to a smaller workforce throughout the Roman Empire. Finally, a trade starts declining, which means some cities are no longer hubs for profit and even more people start to move out. The cycle of internal decay continues to go on and on. As mentioned before, you may have noticed how only the western half of the empire really fell. This was because when the empire was split, the eastern half was more prosperous and established. The west was put at a disadvantage also because it had a larger border to guard. Gradually, the east flourished. It stopped helping the west, causing the west to become very vulnerable. External threats from the barbaric tribesmen at the time was another cause that contributed to the fall of the empire. On the contrary to popular beliefs, the goal of the barbarians at the time was not to conquer Romans, but rather to join it. The first barbarians to cause conflict in the Roman territory were the Visigoths. Because of several factors from internal disintegration, the Roman army needed more soldiers. To gain soldiers, the Romans decided to pay the barbarians to join their army. This caused the barbarization of the Roman army. After a series of events, the Visigoths rebelled against the Roman Empire because the Romans were not paying them enough. This emphasizes the key point that the barbarians caused more internal rebellion rather than external conquest. After the Visigoths, further conflicts emerged from external barbarian groups such as the Huns, Vandals, and finally Odoacer. Just like the past barbaric tribes, Odoacer did not conquer Rome for the sake of conquering, but instead conquered Rome to be recognized as a leading general and to also be able to rule some areas in the Roman Empire. Odoacer finally kills Romulus on September 4th, 476, the popular date for the fall of the Roman Empire.
As you can see, Rome did not necessarily fall to outside threats, and the Rome that everybody knows today is Western Rome. Eastern Rome, however, kept on living on. We can still see Rome influencing many parts of everything that we see around us today, including agriculture, culture, and language, and also architecture.